Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Dave Miller. Tonight, I am joined by a very special guest. You might recognize him from his, TV series on History Channel, Forge and Fire, but to us, he's now a comic book creator. I'm very pleased to meet him. Please welcome Doug Marcaida. Doug, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're all
Uh,
doing great.
well, I hope everyone's warm because it was a little bit cold here in New York, but I'm hoping everyone's warm where they are when they're watching this. Ah, so I'm very excited to have you on. So I was telling you before the show started, I started on Lori Calcaterra's show, and she's phenomenal. She asks you a million questions, but again, she's also a martial artist as well. So I'm not a martial artist. I'm not going to ask you those questions. Uh, okay. So for those who haven't seen Doug on Forge and Fire, where have you been? I mean, come on. It's been yeah. So
We're
why don't you
still
tell us a
on.
little
We're
bit?
still on. We have new episodes probably
Yeah,
coming out this summer. We took a hiatus from filming till all the episodes are out there, slowly releasing the episodes. And I'm like, what's going on? I think there's so much going on out there in the world in terms of the film and cable and everything else that they're waiting to. Who knows who's going to buy out Netflix, Amazon, or
oh
I'm just
god,
guessing, but we're still up there. So we're waiting to
yeah,
see what happens after this year to make sure because we want to continue the series regardless of whether history carries it or somebody else. But we love the craft, we love the community, and basically just the creative process of putting stuff together and making stuff that you can use. That's the beauty of the show.
it absolutely is. And there's some come up with some kind of great looking blades, and the fact that you get to test it out just to see if it can kill is just magnificent.
Dream
And
come
yes,
true, right? I mean, I get
exactly.
sit there, they do all the hard work, and I just pick it up and test it. So that's why I'm in awe of every contestant that shows up and creates the blades. And I always show my respect to them because it's like they create their child in front of you and sharpen the child and present to you so you can beat it and cut it and test it. And who knows what's going to happen to it. So much respect to all of them for allowing me to test the blades.
Yeah, it's one of those great things. I actually watch the show with my dad sometimes, and you can really see the passion that the contestants actually put into making the blades, and they always show you respect, and you show them respect, because especially when you say this blade will kill, and sometimes you give some critiques, that actually is actually helpful, and they like, what, this is definitely benefit because a, I got to work on these, and b, I get to meet all these great people.
Yeah. I mean, you're giving critiques and everything else. Who says you got to be a dick? you know, just give your critique as it is. I can say it nicely, I can say it with respect. But some
Yeah.
TV shows do all the drama of like, oh,
Uh,
that's a tough judge. Just I'm like, when we talked about this because we play ourselves, we're not actors. Well, Dave used to
yeah.
do some acting before, but we play ourselves, and so we said, we had an agreement that we will always be nice and respectful to every contestant. We're not that show. We're not that show that
Yeah.
disrespect. We're not that those judges. And I said, as a matter of fact, if any of you guys become, I'll be the first one to smack you instead of for talking that way. We had that agreement, a gentleman's agreement for that. So, um, and it's amazing. The whole show. We've had over 1,000 contestants, and every one of them have been amazing. And when they to say that any of them has been bad or anything, not one. There was only one incident where one actually had a little breakdown because he was embarrassed. He felt bad. That's human, right? That's
Yeah.
okay. Just one little medal. Another time, there was one contestant who truly didn't like the results. But we have the facts, we have the rules, and how you conduct yourself is how the world will see you. So we're just like, well, go ahead. You're not going to look good, and you have to just take the punches like everybody else. It's a competition. That's all it is. It's never indicative of your work. Nobody makes blades that way. It's a competition.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So I had one of the co-writers on the show already. Talk about the comic and all of that. How did you come up with the concept, though?
The concept of lineage. Well, basically, this is the first book is about my story. I had to talk about one
Mhm.
thing I know about public speaking, and when I do inspirational talks and everything else. Talk about personal experience, and you'll be fine. Speak from experience, you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about it. You're talking about something you know. So my first story for
Yeah.
here is a combination of all the things I've learned from my cycle of knife. I've learned the knife world. I've learned how to use it offensively. I've designed blades. I've learned how to the first thing is conquer my fear of blades because I had a fear of blades. And all the stories that I learned from Filipino martial arts, which is a very weapons-based martial art in the Philippines, in Indonesia, they all have some kind of mysticism attached to the blade. We use amulets. We have some incantations and black magic from my grandmasters. I'm like, what in the world is that all about? I just believe in steel. Does it not cut? But when you look at these men, and they're very good, and they'll totally destroy me, I'm like, they believe in that stuff. And he does too, and he does. And they have all these things. I'm like, there's something to be told. But we tell our stories among ourselves, and I do seminars, I travel everywhere. That later on, I created my own story, compiling all these bits and pieces to make that story. And it was about 15 years of telling the story and everything. So this story really has evolved into a polished story. And I knew it was a good story. Now comes Fortune
Yeah.
Fire. My own producer pretty much says we should turn this into a TV show. And we were going to do it, but then COVID hit. He left the industry. So now I'm like, what am I going to do? I've got a great story here. I want to continue. Then a friend of mine goes, try comic books. That's great because I thought about the way we pass on our histories through oral history, right? That's how everybody talks about the campfire. But then we started drawing onto the caves and drawing all that. Well, that's what a comic book is. Now, we could write it as a book, but I have ADHD. I cannot sit there and write. I cannot even read books. I'm always
Oh.
distracted. It's very hard for me to do that. But if you put pictures, I'm interested. So then I can also guide imagery with a comic book because then it's still life. It still stays there. It doesn't move.
Yeah.
So you can also use your imagination as you're reading it. You can actually make it come alive in different ways. So I'm like, this is the perfect medium for that. So I was lucky enough to tell about my story. There's a lot of similarities in this story about my own
Mhm.
life. That's where I
Yeah.
started. And then I met the right group in Kid Heroes who actually picked an amazing artist, amazing colorist, and two writers to help me make the story flow. I am a story person. I don't care for action. I don't want to see a Superman punch, Hulk smash, or Spider Man. I want to have a good story first. If the story
Yeah.
isn't great, I'm not interested. So they help me fill in the gaps to make it flow, to make it plausible. Because there's so many stories like, oh yeah, how convenient that showed up. No, it's got to be in a reason. There's got to be like a reason why that happened and why this happens. It's all got to connect nicely, and those guys were able to do that for me.
Yeah, I was talking to Earl about it personally, and he was just excited about it, and to tell a great story like that. And I do agree with you. Story is always key. The action, yeah, it's pretty nice to see stuff like that, but it's always needs to be. It needs to be very well thought out and connected to the story in such a way that's unique.
Yeah, but even the action that we do, the artist is not a practitioner, but he did put a
Yeah,
lot of things from the Filipino culture because he's a man of the land. He's a venturer. He's trekking all the time. He talks to the guides. He tells me about the different tribes. But when it came to the action, I took my brother and we started training and we filmed it. I put some techniques in there and all these different things, and I sent it to him, and he just kept on watching until he got the feeling. So that when he did capture the still images, if you're a practitioner, for example, this is what we call a scissoring cut, right? Like where you're scissoring right there. I would see
yeah,
the finished move right here, but then he'd have the movements. I'm like, if you're a practitioner, even the way we jab with the blade, I recognize it. Even the way we bow to each other, that we were doing our motions, he captured it in there. So I'm like, that's the way I want it. So for martial artists, especially my Filipino martial art group, there's not a lot of comic art out there. It's about Filipino martial arts. Well, this one I brought it into it. This is my passion. I was able to get it through, so I'm very excited about the book.
yeah, as you should be. And it is quite unique seeing, that type of martial arts depicted in such a way in comics because you're right. In other comics, it's just the typical martial arts. It's not anything specific, but the certain hand movements, you know, one recognize, okay, that's definitely Filipino martial arts. So it's depicted in such a way that's just exciting and different. It's so
It's
different.
it's funny that a lot of people don't realize that it's in every action movie that's out there, because when you train this way, you get very, very coordinated. You'll see a lot of movements with double weapons, right? They can flow with the double weapons. Well, you put that down, their hands are much faster. Jason
Yeah,
Bourne movies, you see a lot of Filipino martial art where he use a pen and everything. It's in John Wick, they bring it. A lot of the stunt coordination in Hollywood right now, when you see a lot of good movement and the timing of fighting, it's Filipino martial art based when it comes to weapons.
yeah.
It's been Blade, Born Identity, the Book of Eli. It's all it's all there because we know, but we don't come out and talk about ourselves. That's the one thing about the Filipino
Yeah.
culture. We've been in the U.S. since the late 1700s. That long. We've been here. We had the first fishing village in Louisiana, but we've assimilated into this country. But we're still not considered American. We're still a Filipino community, but we never make any complaints. We just assimilate. We just say, hey, we're very happy to be here. We're very
Mm.
proud of our heritage, but also we are Americans. So we're just going to be here and we're going to blend in. We don't ask for recognition or any entitlement. We are just very happy to be here and to be able to find a good living and a way to live in the US. But if you look at our DNA of America, we are ingrained in it. So it's just that we just like to be quiet about it. We're like, yeah, sure, we're in there. Yeah, we're not, okay, we're not, but we will assimilate with the country. That's the way it is.
Well, it's definitely a humble way of looking at it. It really is.
Yeah, that's why we're in the health field. They make a joke about how we're all in the health field as nurses everywhere. But if you look at certain states like Daly City, and it's a very Filipino community in Chicago. I mean, there are a lot of us, a lot here in the country. But yeah, we do have this debt of gratitude in our culture, and what that means is that we're very thankful for everything that we get. We're very grateful for that. So that debt of gratitude carries on to where we will not stir any issues. We just want to be thankful. When I migrated to the US, what did I do when I was here after a year and a half of living here? I feel like I have to pay back the US for allowing me to migrate here. So what did I do? I joined the US Air Force. I joined the service so that no one can ever question my right to be here. I will pay for it with my time. I will earn it. Just like everyone, we don't like, oh, you have a problem with me being here? Okay, look, let me earn it. Then you can't ask me anymore. Thank you.
Well, that's just fascinating because I actually didn't know that you served in the Air Force. So again, I'm learning new stuff right now, and I'm pretty sure you folks know that pretty much know about this, but I didn't know this, so I'm learning. So thank you for that.
Hmm. What else did you not
Yeah.
know?
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not only the speechless, but I'm speechless. No, no. Yeah. What I liked about the story was it's just was original. That's what it was,
Hmm.
and it could go in different directions. I learned to see. I seriously could see this as an anthology series at some point. We have different stories. Because there's a lot to be learned about this. There's
Well,
about this type of story.
I didn't want to recreate something. Now, everything underneath the sun has already been created. I just want to be unique in telling a story. But
Yeah.
it's not just about the story. It's also what I'm doing with the story. Okay. If we talk about the story alone, it's basically about these two brothers who were born and raised in the Philippines. Their father made them join a cult, right? And the cult
Yeah.
involved blade fighting. And the younger brother, as you see, the older brother is training with his younger brother with live blades, and the father's right there watching them. And out of nowhere, a demon manifests itself, and then he kills the father. And the boy wakes up. It was a nightmare. But then he finds himself now older, and they migrated to the U.S. His uncle pulled him away and took him away from that when his father was killed by the demon. Now they're in the U.S. Now all of a sudden, the blade that he was using in there, he inherited from his father. So this is the karambit, right? So with that blade, he starts to play with it as a fidget tool, but he knows there's a meaning because there's a lot of writing in there. Now, if you look close up to this, That's why the title is Lineage. It's like Stickman. You know, if I look at it like a
Wow.
crocodile, but if you do it, they're
Yeah.
Stickman holding hands, and it's like Lineage handing down the story. But he doesn't want to know about the blade in that sense. He just wants to use the blade as a fidget tool to open boxes, to spread food, you know, on the thing. It's not what he thought to be. Now, the younger brother, he wants to know about his past. He doesn't remember much. He was so young. But the brother won't share the stories about the blade. So he starts using TikTok and creates his own paranormal story called On the Verge, because his name is Virgil. And he starts looking for these paranormal things linked to the blade in the guise of a show. But it's really him researching about his lineage that happened in the Philippines. He found a lot of that in the US and he starts looking for it. So in one show, older brother happens to tune in and he sees his brother in a subway following the leads. And he sees on the wall a very much a logo that he reminded him of his past, of the cult. Freaks out, goes and looks for his brother. He finally catches up with his brother in his apartment and goes, "What the hell are you doing? Why don't you just leave the past alone? We're already here and everything." It's like, leave the past? You can't even leave the past yourself. You're having all these nightmares sometimes. I don't want to talk about it. But he goes, "No, we need to talk about it. I want to find out about my history." And lo and behold, the demon manifests itself in their apartment. Now the younger brother goes,
Oh,
"Whoa, what?" Because the guy's got like a skull mask and a horse. Like, who invited? It's not Halloween yet. You know, he's a smart aleck, and he starts fighting the demon. But the demon, the older brother's like shocked, like, what's it doing here? Like, oh my gosh, you know. And then when the demon makes a move for his younger brother, older brother comes in to protect him. He feels his blade all of a sudden come alive, pulls it out, and then uses it. It's no longer a trinket, it's a weapon. And when he cuts the demon, he sees him bleed. So now he goes, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Then he looks at his younger brother. Do you remember the thing that our father taught us and how to fight together? Younger brother goes, "Yeah, you mean this?" He goes, "Yeah." And then together they move around in their martial art moves that they remember from their past, and they kill the demon. Well, lo and behold, when they kill the demon, they go up to before it and they take out. It's just a mask. It's just a man in a mask who happened to have the knife. Younger boy goes, "Hey, look, he's got the same knife, similar to the knife. He's got the markings." The older brother goes, "It's not a demon. It's a man. What's going on here?" Now the journey begins. So that's a beautiful start. It's a whodunit. But the metaphors of life in there is that I came from the Philippines. These boys came from the Philippines. My training in my martial arts, I consider cultish behavior. We trained for 6 hours. We started manifesting. You know, I told you my teachers had all these dark arts attached to it, right? And
yeah.
this mentality, brainwashing, the way we played with drums, the way we were calling kill, 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 the way it made us as maniacs. There, a lot of people who know my system, that system that I studied and left, knew that it was cultish behavior. We always made jokes about each other. It was like, "Did you drink the Kool-Aid?" Because I did. Were you able to get out of that? We drank the Kool-Aid. Now, parts of that are there. But a lot of people don't realize that I have a fear of blades when I was younger. I didn't have a good life in the Philippines, and there are a lot of trauma there with the blades and everything else. It wasn't until I was in the US that I got into the martial arts and the Filipino martial arts. Thank God for a friend of mine who knew how to train blades and everything. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, this is Filipino martial arts. It's Kali." Whoa, well, I never heard of that. He was like, "It's a Filipino art." Maybe we're Filipino. I'm Filipino. I never heard of it, Kali. Oh, it's our niece and the scream in the Philippines. Oh, that's a weapons art. I just want to learn the boxing and the empty hands you were doing. And he goes, "Nah, you want to get good, you have to learn weapons." He pulled out. Now, he pulled out a stick. And that's how he brought me in. And we were friends. So he slowly made me face my fears from a nice point of view. From a, "Don't worry, we're friends. I'm not going to hurt you. But this is how you learn it." And this stick represents a blade. So slowly I got inoculated by it. And then when I got over my fear, I just discovered that it wasn't the blade that was bad. It was the position that I put myself in when I was young. It was the people around it that made it bad and accosted me with the blade, but not the blade. So, in the same token here, the brothers face their fears. And it turns out that the monsters aren't the monsters that we see around us, but the monsters we create in our minds. So that's one of the amazing things of the story, how it parallels everything. But so many things is happening here with the first issue, right? The story of the brothers, the cult, the discovery of this and that and everything else. But what people don't realize is that that story is being told by the blade. The blade's telling the story about the brothers. That's how I made it unique. That's when I realized, whoa, that's a different way of telling that. Because the blade is nothing more than a witness. I mean, he sits there, it's
Yeah.
neither good nor bad. The blade is bad. Well, it's not doing anything right now. But if I pick it up and I use it, I can use it to stab. When we do Fortune Fire and they're making the blades, they put their heart and soul. Blades have so many mysticisms like Excalibur, Sword of Perseus, and all these blades from all over history and all different kinds of worlds, right? Well, the same thing with this. But what if the blade had something to say about it and had a story to tell? So the first saga, called Brotherhood of the Blade, is about this blade that has the mark. And in the end, the blade itself will die at the first, but its soul will be reincarnated in another blade, in another era, in another time, and the story continues. That's why we call it Lineage.
Now this is fantastic. Again, I can see why you originally thought about this as a television series, because I'm already picturing a series of live action or even animation at this point. You know,
Yeah, it
yeah,
continues. But this is why originally we thought about a great story, the medium of comic books. But then why did I do Kickstarter?
mm,
Let's go further into the word lineage. I am in my last quarter of my life. I'm old. It's time for me to leave behind everything that made me shine. I'm teaching seminars to leave all my knowledge behind. I'm trying to push out as many designs I can of my blades, which, by the way, because I'm a blade designer with K-bar, Fox knives, Russian blades, and I've collaborated with a lot of masters because I'm a blade maker, right? I mean, rather designer, and we make the blades. So a lot of those
yeah.
blades will be found in the comic series because they are going to be
Ooh,
characters in there. As a matter of fact, well, here's the first one. This is actually a functional karambit. Actually, this is the tactical version. People don't realize, right? This is a tactical karambit, right? It's got its
yeah.
sheath and you got the link right there. So this is the tactical version of people who want to use it. But it's dressed up for the TV, for the comic book. He's got like, oh, look at my makeup, everything there, right? So this is telling the story. Issues 2 through 4, I'm introducing my other design. This is the battle bolt, right? The
Wow.
scales in there, and it's made because it's one of my designs that I have with battle bots that I use, right? So this
Yeah.
alone, this in itself, is making its debut appearance on the comic book from issues 2 to 4. Yet there's more. This is my Hawk. This is my
Oh,
version of a Filipino headhunter's axe that I turned into a tomahawk for fighting. And I'm going back to teaching the way of the tomahawk and how I would use the tomahawk in combat. Different, a little bit different in its design than the Native American tomahawk. This is the Filipino version, right? And I'm
yeah.
teaching. So this will also make its debut on issues 2 to 4. So I'm leaving it all behind. So when I talk about lineage, I talk about crowdfunding because crowdfunding, if you're part of this, one thing I was thinking about, well, I'm in my last quarter, leave everything behind. Oh, why don't we create a comic book that it'll be for my great, great, great grandchild that I will never meet. And he'll say, wow, I got this from my great grandpa and everything else. But not only that, he also handed me down these heirlooms, these blades that came with the comic books. So that's really a lineage of passing down to my descendants. But then I go, well, if I'm leaving everything behind, why do I leave it behind just for my family? Why don't I involve my followers or anybody interested in lineage? So by doing Kickstarter, everyone that donates in Kickstarter will forever be printed on the issues. Now, here's why it's more important. You have a comic book that actually has the characters that you can own. Now you yourself can take the comic book and hand this down to your descendants with the heirlooms. So all of a sudden they'll go, this is so special. Why? Well, this is a 60-year-old comic book that I got. But if you look at the back page, John Smith right there is my great, great, great grandfather. And he handed down these things to me. Now you had something to be part of this. This is part of your lineage now. You're actually actively passing something down that's world famous, that's amazing, and has a great story. Go, no way are you part of that lineage saga. Which one? Issue 1 through 4. That's the first saga. That's volume 1. That's so special. So that's why I'm like, I just made something dynamic and active and alive. I'm leaving something behind that lives on because you keep on passing it down. Now, I don't stop there. Not only will you get to do this, but you see, some of my actually, and I share this idea to some people. I go, some of them are putting the names of their grandkids who are like 5 and 7 years old because they have the foresight to say maybe one day when they're teenagers or adults, they'll want to continue the story. You see, I will not live forever. And what are you going to do when you're dead? You pass it on. Well, so's the story that when we create this lineage community, because you're part of the Kickstarter and your names are here, that gives you access to say that was created by that guy 60 years ago. Well, book 250, I don't know how many will have by then. I want them to pick up the realm and continue on the stories. I want somebody from our community to pick it up. I want somebody to say, now this is the direction we're going, or not even that, even in my time, I'm going to have all these people part of that, and we're going to create one book where it's created by the people who are members of this. You can write and be part of Lineage. Because some guy was saying, well, Doug, great for martial arts. I'm not really a martial artist. I don't know about blade design and everything else, but I do cook and I'm a chef. Oh, you're a chef. You cook with a blade. I wonder what that blade will tell us. What story does that have? Now you can be part of it too. We can create it. So it is a lineage that keeps on passing down, that's alive and active, not just my lineage, but our lineage. Are you kidding me? When I realized, Lord, thank you for that idea. Because now I have something that I can pass on that stays alive. It doesn't die here. Let's make this happen. That's why I'm inviting everyone. Jump in with the first one. You know how important this is, being the first book and volumes of any first? I said this before and I was wrong about it because I said, well, George Lucas should have. Imagine if George Lucas invited people to write and sign their names on the first issues of Star Wars or Game of Thrones and all that. Well, they didn't have crowdfunding in those days. We have crowdfunding now. So I can offer that idea to everyone. And that's why I'm excited. But I'm inviting people. If you want to be excited, you got to be part of this. Now, I am not one to ask something for nothing. Number one, you're going to get the comic book. I will dedicate and sign it for you. You will have your name in here. You'll have access to be part of this whole journey. But our add-ons, as people sign in, for example, this one here will have actually laser printed artwork on it as on the higher level. We're already having this as an add-on. These will be available as trainers, and I'm doing my seminar end of this month. I'm actually doing a seminar in Florida to teach the Kali Hawk and to teach the Karambit. So now you're going to learn how to use these as well with trainers, of course. Safety first, right?
Yes.
but that's why I love this whole thing. That's why I implore people. It's not whatever you spend on the Kickstarter, as long as you get your name in there and you get all this goodies, all this stuff that you can hand over. That's something. It's got meat to it. It's got a longevity to it. Be part of it.
Isn't that the greatest sales pitch, folks? I mean, come on. I could have said it better myself. And I've been doing this for quite a while now, helping people with their Kickstarters. I couldn't ask for a better sales pitch. And I got to tell you, let's take a look at the Kickstarter campaign right now as we're talking. And yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited about it. I still have to pledge mine. I have to pledge myself at some point.
Join us. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. Because then as a comic artist or a comic book lover and everything else, you get to write your own. How do you do that? Be part of it. We're going to have the time as we go down when we're saying, hey, okay, what's the next story, guys? Where are we going? What country do we go to? What blade are we going to feature? What stories will that blade tell? Because when you're part of this, you will be asked to be part of it. I want you to be involved.
All right. Enough said for me. Okay, so we got 3 days to go. 63 backers. It definitely doubled since I had Earl on a couple nights ago, so I'm fantastic about that. And I think we got a pretty good chance to get this fully funded.
Yeah,
very good chance.
I could have really done this on my own, but I want to involve people. I want you to be part of it. Folks, if you don't see that yet, if you don't see what I'm trying to create here, that I want you involved in my journey. It's my last quarter of my life. Be part of this. Jump in it. I guess the only way I could say I would say this, right? Because obviously this is my passion is martial arts. If Bruce Lee had a comic book and he was doing this and he said, "Guys, would you join in?" I'm telling you right now, you will not be disappointed. I'd be there right away, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
once again, all the
that's
great
Bruce
story
Lee.
writers that invite you, I'm telling you this much. This story has been told and retold for 15 years, so I know it's a good story. Everyone I've talked to knows it's a good story. I was in Athens Con in Greece, and people thought it was artwork on my comic book. Is no, there's a story, and I told them every one of them loved it. You know, I'm confident enough in my martial arts when I do my seminars that I'll say, look, at the end of my seminar, if you can do what I do in the same quality and speed and accuracy, the seminar is free. Now, I told Kid Heroes, our publicist, that our publication, maybe we'll tell people if you jump into this and you look at the artwork and you look at the comic book, and if you're not happy, the comic book is free. And they go, that's not a good business model. We're not doing that. I go, come on, what? I'm that confident to do that. Not only that, I'll guarantee you this is going to give and keep on giving to you. It's not something you buy, read, and then put it down. There are so many Easter eggs in here that my artists put in that I didn't expect. I mean, if we look at the first cover right here, right? He called this still art, you know? And still
Yeah,
art is when you have vegetables and everything that they paint. Now, I heard still alive. It goes still life, still alive. When you look at this, you see the blade that's starring here. You see the
yeah,
skull that was part of that. You'll see these images back there of the two brothers, maybe, or the ancestors. You'll see also here that the a pound of ashes that we have. This is all art from the Philippine style. You also have a candle flickering, and you'll also have a skull. Now, every time you look at this comic book, when you see it in black and red ink, it's the blade that's talking. And if you listen to this, it
ooh,
goes this way. If only you could see through the edge of my existence. In the hands of a child, I danced through terror, yet felt the weight of shadows where hearts stood still. In the quiet moments, I longed to be heard, sharp as a blade, but a keeper of tales untold. In the hands of the brave, truth in the shadows dwell. Comes a tale where every blade has a story to tell. Shakespearean, right? Poetic. But when I looked at this, I go, how well did that match? You see, when I wrote those lines, I didn't see this
yeah,
comic art. So he put it together that way. He's basically saying, while the flame is still flickering, before I die, and his color is already gray, before I die, let me tell you my story. You ever watch those movies where they start off with, well, here I am, but let me tell you before I die, let me tell you the story how I got to this mess. It's
yes,
kind of like that.
yes.
And as you can see, then all of a sudden, the colors become green. I love our colorists because there's so much emotion that accompanies the wordings and everything else that he uses color to get there. It's amazing. And then the Easter eggs here is like you see the beginning where he says, where the blade finally gains consciousness and like, I'm a knife. Wait, why are these kids holding on to me? What I'm being used for? And you can see the coloring of the stories and you see the boys training. Now that's the older brother. And as they
Yeah,
train, you can see the fathers watching them and the older brother here, he's trying so hard to hurt his younger brother. Younger brother goes unscathed, but you can see the little boy has a temper. And of course, there's a demon that jumps in to kill the father. But the Easter egg here, he goes, hey, did you notice that the older brother right there in the beginning, he's got a band-aid on
yeah.
his thumb. I go, there's a band-aid on his thumb.
Oh,
Well, what does that mean? Oh, that's foretelling who's the better martial artist between the two. Because later on in our stories, issues 2 to 4, all this actually plays in that. There's a lot of stuff here, and so much so that when I found that out, because he was doing this along, he goes, Doug, there is nothing in this comic book. And when you look at the amazing art form, right, the artwork, you know,
yeah,
when I released this we were talking about this in San Diego Comic Con. I didn't, I never could afford comic books. So I didn't really, was not part of the comic book world. To me, comic books were
mhm,
all great.
yeah,
When I was at San Diego Comic Con, I was a part of a panel to announce my comic book. I was sitting beside this guy who was another artist, and I saw his work like, wow, it's pretty cool, But what do you think? And he goes, you have a good artist there too. Well, thank you very much, and everything else. Well, his name is Will Sportacio. Will Sportacio? Are you kidding me? He's one of the legends, the OGs For
Yeah.
him to say we have a great artist was a blessing. I'm like, I gotta work with this guy. I didn't know I was sitting beside a legend in the comic book world. But now I see all that. So I'm very blessed to have all this. But to me, when I look at this, because we're trying to leave so many pieces in here of ourselves for issues 2 to 4, I told my writers and everybody else, write something and send it to our artist. And later on, look for Where's Waldo. There'll be bits and pieces of you in there too that you won't know, but it's something that we can have fun with. But here's when I go. It's not about me. I said, let's make this our lineage. I'm going to have a virgin copy of this where there are no words, just pictures, so that you and only those part of the Kickstarter will have, those who are members of this will now read it to your kids, to your grandkids, and you will make up the story because they may inherit that one comic book and they'll go, I got this from my grandfather, and this is the story that he told me. That's totally different than the one with the work, totally different than the one I wrote. That's lineage. That's how you continue on. And that's what
That's
I'm
very
creating.
clever.
I'm
That's
telling
very
people, I go,
clever.
what are you waiting for? This is ours to do. But if you're not even signed up for this, you won't get it that way. This is only for my community that had the vision of wanting to be part of handing down something special. And you will regret it when this makes, like, it wins its multi-winning Oscar award and Golden Globe stories. Hey, I should have been there. I should have started it.
Oh God.
Hey,
That's fantastic.
I dare to dream, but I am that excited about it. I don't get excited about a lot of stuff. I'm excited about this.
Again, as you should be, because it is very exciting and it's a genius idea. Not to have it, it's virgin copy with no dialogue, so whoever does pick it up can read to the kids and just tell like a story.
Yeah,
Like yeah, like once upon a time.
yeah. It's their story now. It's their
Yeah.
lineage. It's their story. So because I used to do that to my kids. I was never read to as a child. Now, when I had my
Mhm.
kids, my wife always read children's books to my kids. Now, when it was my turn to read to them, sometimes I have ADHD, so I have to change the stories, and I'll go by the pictures. So, and my wife told me, no, 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 you're missing the point. There's a certain comfort to hearing the same thing. That's why they choose certain books all the time. Read me the story, and I'd read to them. That's not how it goes. I go, well, that's how your mom does it. Do you want me to make it? Because I make it fun and funny. But that's a creative way of doing stuff. Then I go, well, why am I not doing it here in the same comic book now? Now I'm going back to my lineage of when I was reading to my kids and seeing different things. Do the same here.
This is fantastic. It really is. And I really do have to back this because I want to be part of this. I
Oh,
really do.
join us. I'm telling you, you will not be. And I want to come back and let's actually do a book reading. Let's go through every page. I
Oh,
can tell you all the little hidden Easter eggs. And I want to also talk to you about. I like getting involved. I go, so did you see? When this first came out, my biggest thing was, and I was telling a lot of people who backed this up in the first issue. Tell me what you saw. Did I get my point across? Because I know we see different things. Tell me, I was that much involved. And then later on, when they tell me, okay, now it's my turn. Let me tell you. And like, oh my gosh, all right, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, I told you. But the problem with comic book worlds and all this is I'm not allowed to say anything. They have to keep the suspense. I'm like about to explode. I can't hold myself down. If you only knew. This is only issue 1. You know what issue 2 is going to be revealing? And 3 and 4? There's cult of cosplay here. The mask that was not created originally in the original story. We just call him a big bad guy. But then when the artist put the mask in there, it just changed everything for me because number one, it's meaningful. It's a water buffalo a skull in the Philippines. It's one of our hardworking animals. But in the shadows, it looks like a demon, right? So he put that in there, and I
yeah.
go, he understood. When I was in San Diego Comic Con, I saw people in their cosplay costumes, and I talked to some of them, and the passion and to see that they're different people, I go, that's part of a cult idea too. We are different people when we put a mask on. When I put a mask on, I can do a lot of things that I would never do if you knew who I was. I go, that's kind of like what. All right, I let the comic book world influence my story. Now, because I'm a knife designer, I'm putting my designs in here, and they're making their cameos. We're going to have these as cosplay too later on. I want to see that, and I am this warrior out in the show, and we have, if you see the artwork as costumes and the beauty of it,
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
it's gonna be people are gonna be walking around wearing the stuff that's in there. Because I'm that crazy. I love that idea, to be walking around. I'm the character. I'm Miguel. I'm the guy from the snake tribe, the crocodile tribe. No, you might get give too much away, but it's gonna be part of that. So this, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out on it, because that's the way I make it alive. I dare to dream. I dare to dream big. And if I'm able to tell all this, I know I'm being guided by someone up there. Someone is telling me, hey, do this. It's your destiny to do that. Leave this behind.
Oh, Doug, I uh, I would really like to be friends with you. I really would. Because again, the way you're describing, the passion like this, that's something I have in myself. And it's just so it's so great and precious to me to see someone that didn't only come in reading comic books, to actually have fans of this book and to see you succeed. And I want so much for people who are in the comic industry, especially the indie industry, to succeed in their passions. So it's very rewarding to me to see that.
I'm glad. Thank you. And we should support each other in something like this. But it's not even
Yeah.
just supporting me. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to do this, but I'm trying to invite everybody else to join me in the ride. Be a witness to my adventure, and I will be a witness to yours. That's why we're here in this lifetime. I was asking a lot of my friends and family to put their names in there, because I want to open this up while I'm still alive in my deathbed and look at the names and say, I know all of them. I know these guys. This is when I was still alive, and they're all part of it. And to know that somehow, some way, when I'm gone, their names will be passed on too. And I was part of that whole idea. So for me, a personal way is to see everybody's name in there, because I know Mr. John Smith right there, maybe his great grandson will continue the legacy once we're way gone, because it's a lineage thing.
Yeah, it really is. Well, folks, I think I can show you a little bit more of the artwork. Obviously, if you haven't seen the last episode, I'm just going to show you it again,
Uh-huh.
because this is artwork you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss.
Let's see if we can see some Easter eggs. We can talk about some of the artwork here.
Oh. Okay, right off the bat,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So if you can zoom in on that artwork right there, right? This is a character that's part of this.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. Pull it up. Not shit.
There you go. That's fine. But if you're able to see that, well, gee, what blade is he holding on one hand, right?
Yeah.
What's on the other? So he's doing that. It's one of the characters. Oh well. Oh wait. He does have a likeness to my face. So, but yeah. So that's one of the characters that you will find in there. There's other artworks in there too that you can, if you're able to pull them up. Okay, this is actually a funny one, because now, beautiful thing about comic book art is that they have different covers, right? Different covers. Yeah. Now this is how to say this? An ode to Double Dragon or Dragon Z. One of the
Double Dragon. It's Double Dragon.
Double Dragon. Yep. So that's the fun part that they did for that. So to pay homage to Double Dragon in the 90s. And then and the two characters, the two brothers there.
Yeah.
This was the original, original. Now this was for the first 50 backers and everything. This is one of the surprises there. This has got a see-through cover, so that actually, when you open it up, you'll see the red lineage there. These are the two brothers training together. Nice. In that art form.
Yeah.
And then what do we have here? You have the versions of that.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, let's see if I can. Okay. This is where the brothers come back and travel back to the Philippines. And that's where they're actually, if you see, they're actually holding one of the new weapons there too. So this is when they went back, and you see all the other masks. So the whole idea here is that yes, it's good to face your fears. When you face your fears, you realize that sometimes these are the very things that hold us in chains from opportunities and moving forward.
Yeah.
But sometimes things in the past that chain you down are there for a reason. There's a reason why they're chained. So sometimes be careful what you reawaken. You may not like what you find out.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So this is a very,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
that's one of the foretelling things of where this is going to go.
Yeah.
This is one of the art forms that I love. I love the colorist here, and I love the artist. So you'll see when the boys actually realize when they're facing the demon here, in the background, you'll see the memory of them when they were children, right? When they were young,
Yeah.
training with their father, and in front of them, that's their modern day. And then you'll see how they actually work together to dispatch the demon. So a lot of Filipino martial art moves in there. But the colorists, if you see what he's done and the way they put that, that's actually the Philippine flag. If you see the triangle and the red and blue,
Wow.
so that's one of the Easter eggs he put in there. Filipino martial arts. Here's the Filipino flag.
Wow.
So that was
That's
cool.
very, yeah, it's very clever. I like that.
Uh-huh. We have so
Oh
much
man.
fun with this, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I have not seen this one.
What?
Wait, let me see. Yep, haven't seen that one yet. I think I've seen a sketch of it, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure which one that. No, that is from the new one, from
Yeah.
our new issues 2 to 4. Yeah. So I gotta go back to this and see it clearer.
Hey, you look very
Yeah,
surprised. I like the fact that you're surprised.
yeah. I didn't see this one yet, so cool. I definitely got to see.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay. I remember now. All right. Yes. So this is one of the that you'll find out the two brothers. What's going on here? I remember now. I remember. Yes, this is from issue 2. This is the continuation of issue 2, and the brothers that you can see they're training or fighting again, and there's so much symbolism here.
Yeah. Oh man. It's spectacular.
Then you have
And
your line art here, the line art. Yep.
mhm.
So wow, yeah. I mean, people should already start looking at this as they're part of issue 1. Like I'm telling you, we have not stopped. Or here's the beautiful thing I love about when we have our discussions on creating the next series is that you have to be better than the first issue. And the
Yeah.
second issue is out, and I already know the story too. But the third and fourth are even 10 times better. So it just gets better and better and better, and the stories are evolving.
I love it. I love it.
Ooh, here, this one's haunting. This is very haunting. If you followed
Yes.
issue 1, you will know this is one of the brothers. And it's one of those ideas, again, be careful what you wish for. Some things were supposed to be left in the past. And sometimes when you go digging it up, you might fall back to what you were supposed to avoid. You never know, right?
Hmm. The past has a long memory.
It has, and there's a reason why you left it, and why some people pulled you away from it and everything else. But well, you're curious, and sometimes you can get infected again.
Yeah. Then of course we already saw this,
Yeah.
and yeah.
So there you go.
There's some
So
great
many
Easter eggs.
things.
Yeah.
The story
So many.
unfolds.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So we got 3 days to go, folks, and I'm definitely gonna back it, and I think you guys should too, because you get to be part of this unique story, and eventually, when you do have kids or grandkids, you'll be able to tell them stories, and they'll be
Yep.
able to pass it on.
You can
Lineage.
also do it as a gift. Put their names on it. Like I love
Yeah.
that what that person did. That they put their 5-year-old and 7-year-old grandkids in there, their names in there, because they go like, and he'll hand it to them later on. They're like, "Here, you're now part of this. What was that all about?" Right? So
Yeah.
it's the foresight to know that it's almost like you've invested in something amazing for them. It's an investment for some people that are really into knowing what collectibles are and knowing what a good thing is when it starts and saying, I'll just invest in this and I won't probably see the fruits of this labor till a year from now and everything else. And then later on, when they actually are of age, you know how valuable that one piece is. And it's not even a monetary thing or anything, but the idea that they can be part of something, that they have something that's been passed on to them, that their
Yeah,
name was actually written in there by their grandparents, that they were thought of that far back.
it's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
So if you don't
Yeah,
want to put your name in there, put somebody else's name that you care about.
sound advice. Very sound advice. So, folks, if you haven't backed this project, I do it right now. I do it. Don't waste the time. Don't waste any time. You got 3 days left. So, back it now and be part of this incredible journey.
You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely not. Doug, I can't thank you enough for coming on to talk to us and share this with us. It's
Thank.
so engaging. And again, I'm very excited for you. I can't wait to see what happens to the next issues. And yeah, I'm just excited.
Yep. And we will talk again. And it's one of those things later on when we meet up again. It'll be one of those I told you so. I did.
Oh,
I
I'm
did.
pretty
Yeah.
sure. I'm pretty sure we had told you so, but then I'll just say, I know it was. I
Yeah.
know it was.
I'd love to be able to, and not only that later on, and it's fun to be able to do the I told you so. Yeah, but what about where we get together again when 10 years from now, when we're for peace sake, I'm wearing like the pens and stuff, like, oh, what do you say? I told you so. You did. What would you tell me? I don't even know what day it is today. Well, let's read the comic book over again. I told you there's so many things to see that. I don't even know what this comic book's all about, but I'll read it with you.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh God. Uh, yeah. So,
All right.
folks, if you haven't looked, find the link. It's actually down below. So yeah, go ahead and back it today. And as always, with my channel, hit that like button and subscribe. Folks, I think that's gonna be it for us tonight. Doug, thank you again.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and just tune in next week. We got a couple of surprises. Going back to my Patreon page to record some stuff, so I'm very excited about that. And as always, I'm Ian Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have yourselves a great night.
Take care, folks.